All right, everybody. If you're here and you're happy to be here for day 2 of SDAT, can I get your favorite emotes in the chat? I'd like to see some dancing emotes. Let me get some vibing emotes. Big shout outs to Mewmore for hooking us up with some cool new intermission music. And of course, the legend SDAT production musical producer, Mr. Squidward, excuse me. And really happy, really miss Squid. Squid made a ton of awesome music, and super happy that they're off doing their thing. But obviously, they made a ton of great music for Speed Docs, and I think a big part of what separated us in the early days, both our videos and the marathon, was the Squidward music. So we owe a lot of our early success to Squid, and I hope they are doing well wherever they are. Shout out to Quill for managing the merch store this year. I know a ton of people have ordered shirts and hats, and that is awesome. Love to see that. I think this might be the year that the most people have ordered merch. I'm super happy for that. He has a great merch operation. Check out some of the stuff that he just does. Remember to check out my podcast. I host a podcast with Mr. Tomato Anus, who you may be familiar with. Tommy is a very dear friend of mine. We host a movie podcast, and that comes out every other Friday. So we are recording the next one this week, I believe, if there's time. Yes, I see Jade in the chat. I see Kit in the chat. Matt. I see Mike. Hello, everybody. I see Bo. Tommy and CJ. Woo! Thank you so much, Jade. All right. So, really cool end of the night. This is an interesting story about community resilience, I'll say, because we had a runner here that had to drop because they weren't going to be in town, and they didn't know that at the time. We really planned everything so far in advance because I had my surgery and everything. But we had to plan everything so far in advance. We had a runner drop because they weren't going to be in town. They didn't know that at the time. And that you would originally have seen an hour and a half of Shrek 2. And then we were able to replace that hour and a half of Shrek 2 with an hour and 20 minutes of Metroid Dread, which would have been a really cool finale for day 2. I felt like it would have been, sending people home happy. And I was really excited about that run because I'm a big Metroid fan. And again, another emergency. I think that runner's computer died like the day before the event, and they were very crushed, and they really wanted to be here. And we totally understand. We hope that their computer gets fixed. I know how anxious I would be if my computer died, so I only imagine how anxious they are. And then I just went into Blue Magma stream and I said, hey, do you want to run this Saturday night? And Blue said yes. So huge shout outs to Blue Magma. That is awesome. Awesome that he stepped up. And shout outs to... Did I miss Pokemon Pinball, or is it just starting? Well, Pokemon Sapphire is starting here in a minute. Obviously, yes, Mr. Blue, awesome. And then a bunch of other people reached out to me and were like, hey, we'd like to do runs too. So we also have what is amazing plug and play game, which you have to see to believe. Naruto Ninja Experience, Believe It. Coming up after that by DBCade. And then Bo also submitted one of the original horror games ever made. And you're going to want to see that to believe it. So it's not spoopy at all, really, but it is technically a spoopy game. Thank you, everybody, so much for donating. We are 1 penny away from my goal for today. The minimum is $3, so you would have to donate $3.01 to satisfy my crippling anxiety. But you can think about that. We are going to take a quick pause for the cause. We're going to hear from our friends. We're going to hear from Save the Children. And when we come back, we're going to be live with Pokemon Sapphire Any Percent by Blue Magma. Don't go touching that dial. We'll be right back.
Of course, anything for a fan. Oh hey, didn't see you there. I'm Silent Hero, and you might know me from...
La tormenta me dio mucha tristeza porque muchas personas murieron.
So, dun ka fan din. Last stop sorry no ma.
Children are the best hope for the future because the future is in our hands. We will be living in it and we will be changing it.
I got distracted. We're live. Here we go. Sorry, normally I'm much better about that.
No, that was really funny. Hello, everybody. It's day 2. We're a little ahead of schedule, but we are here for Pokemon Sapphire Any Percent. We did hit the bonus exhibition. So there'll be an extra 15 minutes at the end.
Nice.
Of some cool stuff. I'm not going to let dawdle any further. I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop right into it. There's a lot to cover and a very short amount of time, so I'm immediately gonna start off with an RNG manipulation before we even start the run. So that's fun. We've got a little bit of downtime before we actually start the manipulation, or before we actually start the run. I'm gonna go with a good old classic frame 3 here. And then I'll give the countdown from 3 when the run actually starts, which is when we select new game. For those longtime SDAT fans out there, you may have seen this run a year or so ago at a previous SDAT, and it was about an hour longer. Probably more than an hour longer. All right, and now I'm gonna do the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so the run has officially started. This is something that you did not see in the previous Any Percent route, because what we're doing here is a trainer ID manipulation. It's a 2-frame window, so hopefully I get it first try. If not, we'll have to go back to the title screen, but it's not too big of a deal. We also have to name ourselves this. Not specifically this, but it needs to be 7 characters. And so we can just make our name a bunch of screaming. Alright, so we needed to hit a 2-frame window on that final text box. Let's see if we got it. Hopefully we did. If not, then we'll try again. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Perfect. Very, very nice. First try. This is actually the optimal frame. There are 2 frames that work for the trainer ID, but this one is a little bit better. So I will take it. Now, there's a lot to cover. Let me kind of start with some history. If you didn't see the previous Any Percent run at SDAT, sort of looked, well, depends on what you mean by similar, but it was similar to a normal playthrough in the sense that you went through the game, you beat all the gym leaders, you beat the Elite Four, and you became the champion. You just happened to do some walking on water, you bought like 71 harbor mails, and you got a really over-leveled Tentacruel. That has been totally overturned. So a little bit around that time, around the time when the Tentacruel route was in full swing and being developed, I was still a little disappointed that there was no way to even skip a single trainer. Like, every trainer that is mandatory in a glitchless run was still mandatory in an any percent run. And what I did was I put up a bounty so that there would be a incentive, a cash incentive for people to get into the glitch hunting scene and potentially find a way to skip at least one trainer. And so that was what the bounty was for. Now, a very prominent Emerald researcher and glitch hunter, Metric, took on this challenge and probably like 2 months ago actually discovered a way to beat the game with only 5 gym badges. And here, let me pause. Need to do a RNG manipulation frame perfectly for a specific Trico. And I was 1 frame early. Unfortunate. We'll try again. Luckily, this one is not as punishing if you miss it. So, anyways, this bounty was completed by Metric. It required getting 5 badges, going all the way to the Safari Zone, getting a Pikachu, and a Thunderstone, and that allowed you, with some magic, to warp to the credits. And another 1 frame early. Consistently 1 frame early. Now, that was cool, but it wasn't that much faster, because it's kind of a detour to get Pikachu and do all that other stuff as well. Then, we had what was called the Spinda route. The Spinda route could beat the game with only 2 gym badges, which was absolutely nuts. That was the first route to get sub 1 hour. Okay, nice. We got the Trico, so we are good to continue. That route required doing a contest and winning a contest, which is actually harder than it sounds when you have just a Trico and no Pokeblocks or anything. You had to win the contest too. You couldn't just complete it, you had to actually come in first. We also have to name our Trico a bunch of nonsense. We're just gonna name it Screaming, because it's fast. So that was a really cool route, but the contest part made it pretty inconsistent. There wasn't a super good way to win every time, and if you lost, you would have to try again, and it would take like 7 minutes to go through a whole contest. That was pretty crazy. Fortunately, another glitch hunter named Final figured out that rather than using the contests to activate the glitch, we could use the trendy phrase where if you're in Dewford, you can talk to some people and they'll say like, this is the trendy phrase that everyone's talking about. And by getting a certain trendy phrase, which is correlated with your trainer ID, we can actually activate the same credits warp without needing to do a contest. So then we had the 2 badge route with a contest skip. And that was huge because the contest alone took like 10 minutes. So that got to, I want to say under 50 minutes is what that route was able to do. Then we realized that one of the side effects of the glitch that we were using, one of the main glitch that was discovered to enable all of this was name corruption. So you could actually give yourself a really, really long name, and with some further setup, that could corrupt you to the Hall of Fame or the credits. Another side effect is that it actually lets you steal trainers' Pokemon, which has a lot of uses, but one of the less known uses that was actually really only useful in Catch-em-all, but because I had done so much work into Catch-em-all, we already knew that this was possible. But with a very, very precise setup, you could steal a trainer's Pokemon and corrupt it into a glitch Pokemon that would then let you warp to the credits that way. And you can do that with only one badge. So you could skip the entire second badge, like the entire second half of the run. You could skip getting the Spinda because you needed a specific Spinda for the 2-badge route. So you could beat the game with only one badge, which was really, really crazy. But the trainer steal setup was so precise, you had to enter the battle frame perfectly after waiting for 2 minutes, and then you had to stall exactly 21 Leers, 3 focus energies, and 3 low kicks from a Machop. And you had to get that exact number or the setup would not work. And so in order to do that, we had to catch 2 Sableye so that we could swap between them, and because they're ghost types, you can guarantee that you'll get Leer, and then with some other swaps, you can guarantee that you'll get enough low kicks and focus energies. That was very difficult. I got a sub 40, I believe, with that route, which was really hard. It took a first try trainer steal setup for all of that to work, and that was very, very difficult. But it was a cool route, but definitely not beginner friendly at all, and honestly, kind of painful. Then, what we realized was, this is where things get even crazier, is that there's a runner that had been trying the new trainer steal route. His name is Dunewacky, and the trainer steal route actually did not require a specific Trico like this route does. However, most people still ran with a specific Trico because it would have better stats and things like that, so it would do more damage. But Dune was not doing this. Dune was just using a Manipulus Trico, and so he was just taking whatever Trico the game gave him and running with that. Now, during one of his runs, he actually happened to... He was setting up the credits warp, but instead of warping to the credits, his game crashed. And Metric and the other glitch hunters looked into this because he posted about it to figure out why this happened. And it turned out that he encountered a 1% chance of that happening, and it can only happen with a Trico that hasn't been RNG manipulated. So we got a 1% chance of crashing, and then that crash led us to the discovery of this route that I'm doing right now. This route is similar to the trainer steal route in that you only need one badge, but you don't actually have to steal from a trainer at all, which makes it way, way easier. And also there are males for the run. No more harbor males, but we get 14 orange males this time. Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but it's good enough. So that's a very, very quick rundown of the history of this category. And so, because we found that crash, we found that we could manipulate a different Trico, and it also, to actually get a credits warp to work properly, it required making our player name a maximum length and making our starter's name a maximum length. But that's a small price to pay for skipping the entire trainer steal setup, because, like I said, that took like almost 10 minutes to do. So now, with this route, you can easily get a sub 30-minute time. And it's way, way easier for beginners to pick up. The only things you need to learn that are like mandatory for a beginner run are the trainer ID manip, which is a 2-frame window, but you can try it as many times as you want. And it's right at the beginning of the run, so it's not like it's very far into it. And then the starter manip, which is a 1-frame window, but you can also try it as many times as you want, and you only have to wait like 30 seconds between attempts. So you can kind of just brute force it until you get it. And once you've done that, you can literally do the rest of the run. No fancy RNG manipulation, just basically playing through the game normally. And then you can warp to the credits very quickly. So it's really, really crazy. Yeah, the amount of work and glitch hunting and strategizing that has gone into this route has been crazy. Yeah, like I said, the first, the claiming of the bounty, so the first credits warp route was only like 2 months ago. And since then, we've brought the time down from like 1 hour 45 minutes to less than 30 minutes, which is pretty absurd. Now, my PB is a 29:06. That was actually the world record until this morning. Someone literally beat the record today and actually managed to skip the 28-minute barrier. They got a 27:58. Chippy is now the world record holder, and that was an amazing run. Like, we didn't even know if 27 minutes would have been possible, but it is. So beating that is going to be pretty hard, but we do have some pretty crazy strats that we're cooking up that might be able to get the time lower. So that's going to be my job for the next little while. Alright, this is Aquapooch. We don't like this fight because it can sand attack. But so far so good. Just hit Trico. Good job. Honestly, that was a pretty good fight. Had to heal once, but didn't miss any of our moves, which is good. Now, the only other thing that's important is actually we have to manage the power points or the PP of how many Leers we use and how many absorbs we use. By the end of the run, we need to have used 3 absorbs and 1 Leer. Now, if you're trying to do this run casually and you're worried about that, don't worry. You can always just heal at a Pokemon Center and then go fight like a wild Pokemon and just use 3 absorbs and a Leer. It's no big deal if you accidentally go over, because you can just go and heal and then do it again. Alright, and now we're already in Rustboro. Under 15 minutes, we are already entering the first gym. I don't remember if at last SDAT we showed off this strat. I want to say we did, but Trico is actually optimal for any percent, as opposed to Mudkip, who is optimal and glitchless, because we only need to fight 1 gym. And Trico is actually the fastest at being able to beat Roxanne. Not on its own, but with some really cool RNG manipulation tech that I'm gonna show off, thanks to Bullet Seed, we can actually win this fight going in at level 8. Which Mudkip cannot do. So you can skip all of the optional gym trainers, which Mudkip would need to fight for experience. I'm gonna focus here because these timings are a little bit tight. That should be a good start. Now, if I did it right, we should get Harden. And we should get a 3-hit Bullet Seed. Good. Beautiful. And then if I did this right, we should get the kill. Very nice. There we go. 3 turns and we beat Roxanne, which is absolutely wild for going in like 5 levels under-leveled. Yeah, it's a really cool tech that you can do with multi-hit moves specifically that makes it a lot easier to manipulate RNG in a battle. And yeah, that is the first and last gym leader of the run. So we're like basically already halfway done with the run, which is pretty wild. There are actually only a total of 6 fights in this entire route. 7 if you count like the starter tutorial battle. Which is pretty wild. So there's there's less fights than there are gym leaders in the entire game, which is cool. I'm doing specific movement there and then pausing because that gives me time to react. To if those NPCs spawn or not. And if they hadn't spun, then I can pass them safely. Yeah, I would say even if you haven't done a Pokemon run before, there'll be a bit of a learning bump in how to do RNG manipulation, but it's nowhere near as complex as it used to be. Like a... Oh no! Oh, we're back.
We got a little soupy there for a second.
It did.
We're okay.
I think we're okay. A glitchless run is doing, let's see, like 4 RNG manipulations throughout the run, and they're all unique and have their own quirks to them. But on the other hand, on this side of things, an any percent run now only requires 2 RNG manipulations, and both way easier to learn than any of the old route manipulations. A lot of the other RNG manipulations, you have to do like very precise movement and hit specific time. Just listen to an audio cue and just press the A button at the audio cue. And if you're good at the timing, then you'll get it. And if not, then you can just try again. So pretty straightforward to learn. There is a written tutorial out on the speedrun.com page if you're interested in that, and I'll also be putting up a soon on my channel if you prefer video form.
Pause for us to take a quick pause. clean. All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and say let's swap back in and let's keep it going.
Yep.
All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna try it now. Let's see if things are better. Yeah, someone said we were in missing no mode, so
Yeah.
True.
All right.
All right, I'm restarting the timer. Go ahead.
All right, let's go. Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. We are... Luckily, it was at not a very eventful point in the run. But I'll use this opportunity now to kind of talk about the glitches more in depth, because there's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, as I was saying, you don't really need to understand how the glitches work if you are a beginner runner and you want to try this out. Yeah, it's really just a couple things to learn. There's written tutorials, there's video tutorials coming out soon, so definitely feel free to give it a try if you'd like. But yeah, now we're kind of just progressing through the story a little bit, because we need a couple more things before we can beat the game. Not any badges, but just other things. Now, back when we did Sapphire any percent at SDAT last time, we used something called the mail glitch, and that is one of the only major glitches in this game. Now, that was pretty useful for a couple things. You could duplicate items, so in the run we duplicated a bunch of rare candies, and that was very, very powerful to get a high level tentacruel. That was really cool. And we can use it to corrupt certain tiles. So we can do things like walk on water to actually catch the tentacruel, and you can do a couple other funny things with it. But nothing really game-breaking. That is where Metric came in, and he realized that by putting a glitched mail in the mailbox, and also putting a specific value in memory, which can work in a few different places, like contest memory, so that's why we had the contest route at first. But by putting a specific value in that memory, and then putting a glitch mail in the mailbox, we can actually get the mail name to be incredibly, incredibly long, because normally the mail has a Terminator character, an FF character, that tells the game, stop printing the rest of the name. But by putting a glitch mail in the mailbox, it actually gets rid of that Terminator character, and then by having a specific value in memory, we can get it to basically read a whole bunch of the game's memory as the mail name. And that is really, really powerful because of how long the name ends up being. Also, side note, even though we used a repel, we are only level 12, and you can rarely get level 12 encounters here, which means we cannot repel them. Repels only work if you're higher level. But, back to the main topic, with a really long male name, it ends up overriding a whole bunch of other things, including your player data. So, your player name is one of those things. Your trainer ID is one of those things. But the player name was the key thing. So you could get a really, really long player name because the name of the male in the mailbox was so long. And so that was a really creative use of the mail glitch to pull off something totally game-breaking that we hadn't seen before. Now, with name corruption, you could do a few things. You could, in the 2-badge Spinda route, you could catch a specific Spinda, and catching Pokemon while having a really long name makes weird things happen. That was used to achieve Ace, or Arbitrary Code Execution, which could then warp to the credits. So that was that. Now, having a really long player name also corrupts the type of battle that you're in whenever you print your player name, like by throwing a Pokeball, for example. So that was used for the 1-badge trainer steal route, because we could corrupt a trainer battle into a wild battle and then steal the trainer's Pokemon. But there's another thing that we can do without even needing name corruption at all, basically. We basically get another specific value in memory and use that to achieve arbitrary code execution without needing to corrupt our name at all. But it all still relies on the mail glitch by getting a glitch mail in the mailbox with a specific memory value after it. And so that's the key. And so it's really crazy how this has really been the only glitch in this game for the 20 plus years it's been out. But we just keep finding new and more creative ways to take advantage of it. And the original mail glitch was actually thought to be Japanese exclusive, because people noticed that you could use Trick while holding a mail, and weird things would happen with that. But Trick did not work on the English version. They patched it on the English version. But what people didn't know is that you could actually use Thief and Covet on the English version, which was my discovery that led to us actually doing runs on English instead of just Japanese. And then we already knew that on the Japanese version you could use this to duplicate items. Then we discovered the tile corruption stuff. And then just very recently, Metric discovered the name corruption and arbitrary code execution stuff. So, a lot of history behind that. The original mail glitch was discovered like 15 years ago or something crazy like that. It was discovered quite a while ago. But now, we're at the last fight of the entire run. I'm gonna save just in case. There's not really any risk of anything going wrong, but just in case I misclick or something. You never know.
I can't wait for this.
We picked up the item Thief, or the TM Thief. We did that in the previous route as well, in the Tentacool route. And that is key because Thief lets you steal a mail, or it lets you take an item from another Pokemon. And by taking a mail from another Pokemon, the game actually skips the process that it would normally go through of removing the mail, clearing that memory, and then saying, okay, now that mail can be given to another Pokemon. So that whole process gets skipped right here. So we just activated the glitch by stealing Trico's orange mail. Now we're gonna use our 1 Leer because we hadn't used that yet, and our PP count does have to be precise. And now we actually need our moves in a specific order, like this. Perfect. And now we win the battle. And we equipped 9 mails to Abra before and removed them so that we could fill our mailbox. Because mailboxes can hold up to 10 pieces of mail. So now this is a glitch mail. We're gonna take it, send it to the mailbox. So now our last mail in the mailbox is a glitch mail. This is what can activate the glitch. Because by putting it in the last slot, we remove that Terminator character that I was talking about. And now is where things get a little strange. We're gonna deposit our Abra just for efficiency, because we don't want him to show up in the Hall of Fame. And now I'm gonna type a bunch of gibberish. It's not actually gibberish, but it will seem like it, into the box names. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm writing instructions for the game to follow. I'm basically writing code using box names, and this is going to tell the game to teleport me to the Hall of Fame. And yeah, huge shoutouts to Metric and Final for creating and optimizing these box names for like minimum inputs and just ease of use, ergonomics, things like that. There's a lot of work that went into that as well. I do not have the technical expertise to write these codes myself, so could not have done it without them. All right, and then the last one, GN, good night. And now we just have to save and reset to restart our, basically clear our data. There we go. Now, I'm gonna open my mailbox, and it's gonna be full of a bunch of A's. But then, the final mail, once we view it, will warp us to the Hall of Fame. And there we go. There is our
crazy.
Trico.
Wow.
Hey. One level 12 Trico in the Hall of Fame. That's all it takes. One badge. And time.
Absolutely amazing.
And that's the whole run. That's the entire game now. That's how you beat Pokemon Ruby or Sapphire. You can do it on either version, and that's how you beat it as fast as possible. It's really, really crazy.
I think you've shaved a few seconds off the old run. I think so.
Yeah, it might be. Might have shaved like an hour and a half or so. Just a modest amount. Yeah, just as intended. You can see, normally this shows like all the Pokemon that you caught throughout your long and arduous playthrough of the game, but all we caught was a Trico and an Abra, so we just see Trico and Abra over and over. Yeah.
What else do you need? I mean,
Exactly. You don't need anything else.
we did get a $5.01 donation that said this is insane, and I agree.
Yo.
And I simultaneously wish that my games had something like this, and also that they never do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a pretty short category, especially for a Pokemon game, where most of the runs are, you know, a couple hours. But it's fun, it's easy to learn, like I said. There's not too much to it, just a couple tricky things at the start. But you don't have to do the Roxanne manipulation like I did, that's optional. You don't even have to do the Abra manipulation like I did, that's optional. You really just need a trainer ID, a Trico, or a Mudkip, or a Torchic, whichever one you want to use will work. And then basically go until you get Thief, and then do the double battle, type in the names, and win. That's all there is to it.
That's pretty crazy. But we have a bonus exhibition here. So
Yes,
you got some more Borky stuff to show us?
I do. There is so much stuff that doesn't make it into any percent just because it's become so streamlined, but there are so many goofy side effects from mail glitch and name corruption that we can show off now. We're actually working on a any percent no ace category, so basically you can't tell the game to warp you to the credits directly, as sort of like a category extension. There's some stuff that I'd like to show off with that. There's a bunch of silly stuff. And I might even ask the audience what they're interested in, because we've only got so much time, and there's too many things to show off all at once. But I'll start off with one thing, because this will lead to a whole bunch of other things. You can see, and also just for proof, here we are. 1 badge, 32 minutes, Hall of Fame. There we go. Pretty great.
Amazing.
Now, what I'm gonna do first is the name corruption that we talked about earlier. Now, we get the specific Trico because it has a specific value in its data that can enable arbitrary code execution, but if you want to do the name corruption instead, you can just swap it out with any other Pokemon. And then, I'm gonna save just to be safe. We actually might be able to make a shiny.
Real quick, we did just get a what looks like a $10 donation.
Whoa.
But Tiltify logged me out, so I have to log back in.
Yes, so with arbitrary code execution, you can essentially get anything you want. You can get the event tickets, you can teleport anywhere that you want. Alright, here we go. So now, our text has been set to slow speed, so I'm gonna hold B to speed this up. We can clone ourselves, that's definitely one that I will do.
Real quick, that $10 was from Blue Jay. It was $10.01. GG Blue for showcasing this run. I was able to do this myself in an hour despite never doing a Gen 3 speedrun before. You're the GOAT.
Yo, shoutouts to Blue Jay. Yep, she had never done a Gen 3 run before. I walked her through the notes, and yeah, she got like a 54-minute time, I think, on her first ever attempt. So it's very, very doable. Alright, so right now it looks like nothing is happening, but it is. This is the name corruption with a really long male name. It's just printing a bunch of invisible characters, basically. But once it gets to the end, we'll be able to actually play the game. And it should be done pretty soon. It usually takes a couple minutes, but we started a little over a minute ago. So it's almost done. Now, this is going to enable us to do a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think what I want to show first. Well, the first thing that I have to show, because there's no way around it, is this. There we go. Once you see that A, it means you're almost done. Oh, there's the other A. Oh. Yay, there we go. Alright, so first off, we're gonna do what's called trans percent. We are currently May. Once we leave, we are now Brendan. That's all there is to it. That's pretty much it for that. So the name corruption glitch also overwrites a bunch of stuff in your player data, including your gender. And for some reason, gender 0 in this game is Brendan and gender 1 is May. So we actually set our gender to 0 and become Brendan. And it just so happens that we choose May because it's faster. So it's a cool little coincidence. Now, you can see most of our other stuff is pretty normal for now. We still got some Pokeballs and stuff. I'm going to show off what we used to do, which is Trainer Steal. So, once you've activated Name Corruption, you can do this with any and every trainer in the game. It's really, really easy. All you need is a Pokeball. Any Pokeball will work. So our name is now really long. Actually, I hope this will work. There's a possibility this doesn't work with this setup. But we'll try it. We're gonna throw our Great Ball. We get a lot of weird stuff going on. Oh, it doesn't work with this setup? That's disappointing. That's because we use a different trainer ID than we used to. So I won't get to show off Trainer Steal today, but I'll show off something even crazier than that. And I should have saved before that, so we'll do this again. The other thing I'll show off is something that we're tentatively calling pseudo-tweaking. For those that don't know anything about Generation 4 glitches, there's a glitch called tweaking in all of the Gen 4 Pokemon games, where you cross a load line on the bike very quickly, and it'll actually load things in incorrectly, and that can allow you to kind of walk through walls, essentially, and go to a bunch of unintended places. It's used pretty heavily in their any % runs. Now, with name corruption, we can do something similar. The logic behind it is, like, the technical details behind it are different, but the outcome is similar. So I'm gonna show that off because it actually has quite a few applications. One of them is in any % no ace, but then there's also just a lot of goofy stuff you can do with this. So for example, we've always dreamed of being able to get all the starters, all 3 of Mudkip, Trico, and Torchic in our game, but we're always limited to just one. But with pseudo tweaking, we can destroy the laws of reality, which also lets us get another starter. There we go, we're almost done. Okay, this time I will save, just to make sure I don't have to repeat this process. There we go. You can see we get a lot of crazy corruption stuff here too. The text is literally on the screen, even though we're off the PC. All right, here we go.
What?
All right, let's save. Yeah, and even opening our pause menu is a little bit crazy. But all you have to do is, once you've activated name corruption, you can simply save and reset, get an encounter, and then this works in several different places, but an easy place is in this top right corner, or top left corner of Route 103. Open your trainer card. It's gonna take a little while because we are basically destroying the universe. You'll see this. We close our trainer card, and we have destroyed the world, essentially. Ta-da! Now, you can already see we are off center of the camera, which is not supposed to happen. Now, it looks like I'm right there. When I move, I am in quantum superposition, so I'm also right there. And now there are 2 Brendans. And that's pretty strange. But let's go a little further. You can see that basically the entire world is this gray nothingness. But don't worry, we can still escape. We're chill. See, Oldale Town is mostly okay. This house got a little bit damaged by our domain expansion, but we're okay. Can see
Domain expansion.
Yeah. our camera's also a little off center, but we can still play. May is also here. For some reason. I'm not gonna talk to her. Now there are 2 professors, and the starter bag is here. This professor is stuck on a cliff. This guy's just looking around. I don't know what's happening with him. But I can choose another starter. Who do we want? Do we want Torchic or Mudkip? We already got a Trico. Or we can get another Trico if we want. I'm gonna go Mudkip as the reference for the glitchless run.
That feels right.
And my profile picture on Discord.
Shout out to Mudkip. My
Shout out
first
Mudkip.
starter.
Yeah. Now, yeah,
Who was your first starter?
we're doing the battle again. Yeah, who's your first starter? In Gen 3 or in general? Either one, because I am a Gen 3 fan, but there's lots of good starters out there. Alright. And so he's got the wrong idea, I think. We are not over there, but he's trying to talk to us. Our name is also kind of an eldritch horror, so anytime somebody says it to us, it takes a few seconds. It's hard to pronounce. It's not nearly as long as the original name corruption, though. It only takes like 15 seconds instead of 2 minutes. So it's not as bad. There we go. And it'll say it one more time, unfortunately. But we're now, like, we've beat the game, but we're also back at the beginning of the game. So there's a lot going on there. Very interesting. Another aspect of this is anytime you do this pseudo-tweaking glitch, it clears everything in the entire game. So if you fought any trainers, they are now ready to fight you again. We no longer have our running shoes. They took our shoes from us.
It's like holes.
We have no badges anymore. We have nothing. We have nothing in our bag. Technically, we still have our Pokemon, but not really. And I'll show you why. Okay, this guy's almost done yapping. And then I'll show off one more silly thing and then call it there before we use up too much time.
You got it.
Also, yeah, he tells us to nickname our Abra instead of our Mudkip, because our Abra is actually our first Pokemon, so it thinks that that's our starter now. But, speaking of... Oh, here's this as well. I forgot about this. Both trucks are here. Trucks do not have collision in this game, which is strange. We also... Oh, we do have our Pokemon menu now because we got our starter. But normally, after you pseudo-tweak, you will not have a Pokemon menu to select, which is interesting. Now, Mew is not under these, unfortunately. That would be pretty cool, though. Merp, one of the people that helped with this route, is has made a really cool Fire Red Leaf Green task with the new glitches in Fire Red Leaf Green, and actually made like a whole Mew under the truck event in Fire Red Leaf Green, which is really, really cool. So check that out if you're interested. Our mom is stuck in the door. We're gonna walk through her. And we have our dad here and 2 moms as well. I'm not gonna go up... Well, okay. Here's where I'll let you guys choose. The final thing, do you want me to go upstairs, or do you want me to go to a battle?
Alright, the first person to vote.
Yep.
Upstairs or battle? Norman's got a harem going here. I mean,
and not even just him.
battle it is. All right.
Look at this guy. He's got it too. What the heck? All right, we'll do a battle. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, I have a save file, so I'm gonna reset to the save file. We're back. Feels good to have our running shoes again. Now I'm just gonna get an encounter. Nice Ralts. So 4% encounter. It's pretty rare. Now you can see, we've already fought Calvin. He doesn't want to fight us. But if we pseudo tweak, there we go. Oh, and he's fighting us. Okay. I don't know where he is, but he's fighting us. Alright, this is gonna be intense, I'm sure. And see, here's our Abra. Our Abra does not have a nature anymore. That spot where it says level 8, to the left of that is normally where it would give it a nature. It'd say like mild nature or serious nature. That doesn't show up anymore. Oh, I forgot that this happened. So this is one thing you can do. The battle is now soft locked. Yeah, everything has disappeared. We've destroyed the world again, and you're just stuck like this forever. So that's that. Yeah, so that's a fun little soft lock that you can try. Now...
What a...
Okay, actual last thing. That was unintended. What if we actually win the fight? That's where things get really wacky. Yeah, do not look at the Abra or everything will be gone forever. Alright. Back for the rematch. My only attacking move is Thief. Luckily, that should be good enough. Alright. Wow, we won. That was easy enough. Yeah, you should have trained more. Oh boy. Now things are getting funky. So, I'll let you enjoy. This is really just visual. There's not much for me to talk about or do. So I'll kind of just use this. You can watch along as I give my closing. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for donating during the run. Here we go. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me on Twitch. I stream at Blue Magma 7 most days of the week. There's that. Or reach out to me on Discord. Feel free to join the Pokemon Gen 1 through 3 speedrunning Discord if you have questions, if you want to learn the route. Be happy to walk you through it or give you any advice. And yeah, shoutouts to Metric, Final, Merp, all the people that made this run possible. Mockwing, Keeping It Icy, Chippy, who just got the world record today. Yeah, so many people put a ton of work into this, so huge thanks to all of them. And thank you very much to Speed Docs for helping me be here to show this off. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for filling in at the very last minute. I literally came into your stream and said, hey, what are you doing Saturday? And you came through clutch. This was an awesome run. Thank you so much for filling in and showing off this great run and doing the bonus exhibition. That was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this. So
yeah, definitely check out Blue Magma on Twitch. It's a great watch. Very chill, very vibey. We are going to take a quick pause. For the pause, we're going to pay the bills and keep the lights on. And when we come back, we'll be getting ready for Naruto. I forget the name of the run. Naruto Ninja Experience. Believe it. So don't go touching that dial. We'll be right back.